Hi, welcome to my PowerPoint, Understanding Cultural, Legal, and Political Environments in International Business. This is a study on global business dynamics by me, Herman Maroney III. This is where I confirm my identification. Here is my ID, government issued ID. Look at that. Look at that. Let me see if I can do that. There you go. Let me put it up here again so you can see this is me. Maybe I'll bring it back some. There you go. All right. So again, that's my identification confirmation. Let's move forward here. Now, introduction. We're going to talk about globalization and international business, the importance of understanding cultural, legal, and political environments, and an overview of presentation structure. So cultural aspects, the introduction. So culture impacts business etiquette, communication, and management styles. Hofstede, Cultural Dimensions as a Framework to Understand Cultural Differences. It's a great resource to understand the cultural impacts of business, etiquette, and communication, as well as management styles. So individualism versus collectivism, right? So individualism in the US, which we focus on personal achievement and independence. Now other cultures, they they sort of, I ain't gonna say sort of, they do collectivism, I'm sorry. China, emphasis on the group harmony and collective success. So here it is. When we're studying international business, we have to be cognizant of both individualism and collectivism. Collectivism. All right, so power distance. So high power distance, Japan acceptance of hierarchical order. Low power distance is Denmark emphasis on equality and open communication. Impact. Leadership styles differ. Japan expects clear authority. Denmark encourages participation. Now, uncertainty and avoidance. Now, high uncertainty avoidance. Germany preference for structural situation and rules. Low uncertainty avoidance. India comfort with ambiguity and flexibility. Impact. Risk tolerance varies. Germany values detailed planning. India adopts quickly to changes. So masculinity versus femininity. So masculine culture, like Japan, which is competitive and achievement orientated. Feminine cultures, Sweden, focus on quality of life and collaboration. Impact. Negotiation styles and work-life balance will differ. Now here we are, we're going to look at long-term versus short-term orientation. Example, long-term orientation, we'll look at China. Focus on perseverance and future rewards. Short-term orientation, the United States, emphasis on immediate results. The impact, business strategies differ. China invests for the future. U.S. seeks quick returns. Now, let's look at the legal aspects. This is an introduction. There's key legal consideration for international businesses. There's employment laws that have to be adhered to. They differ from continent to continent, country to country. Intellectual property rights. Now, for an example, intellectual property rights are held in high esteem here in the U.S. and other places, right? They may not be. For example, Africa and some parts of South America, where intellectual property rights are not seen as a high importance. Then contract enforcement. Oh God, what makes the U.S. so special and most Western Europe countries is because they're high respect for contract law and contract enforcement through the judicial system or 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 even the civil legal system. Importance of understanding regulatory environments is super important to know whether or not your contracts can be enforced in different jurisdictions. So key legal considerations for international businesses: employment law, intellectual property rights, contract enforcements. Now, let's talk about employment laws. So the key legal consideration for international businesses, employment laws, intellectual property rights, contract enforcement, the importance of understanding the regulatory environments. Let's talk about intellectual property rights. Strong enforcement. The United States, robust protection for patents and trademarks. Concerns. China issues with IP theft and enforcement challenges. Impact. Strategies for protecting intellectual property vary. Remember, the U.S. was having problems with China as far as software was concerned, right? Countries like, companies like Microsoft would go over there, Intel would go over there, just make it because they had cheap labor, they would open up shops over there and then find out that their intellectual property was being taken. I'm going to say been taken and being used. So China is a large concern, but they're not the only one. Other countries that does not have strong IP stuff like Africa and some South American countries, right? Contract enforcement. Man, listen, I believe personally that because a contract can be enforced much easier here in the United States, and they have a strong legal thing that lots of people take that for granted, right? When you compare to what goes on in maybe Venezuela, man, other countries, don't even talk about countries like Korea, North Korea, that might be, right? That where contract enforcement is hard, and even Russia, to that extent, all right? Russia is known for um, contract enforcement being be by military. Whoever has the best, how can I say, military force, that is what's going to enforce the contract. For an example, I remember not long ago, a billionaire had said something not so nice about Putin, and even though he was a billionaire, the military surrounded his aircraft and it took him into custody and probably put him into prison. So that's what I tell people, that contract enforcement is is incumbent on you having a strong legal system like the United Kingdom, which have reliable contract enforcement. Challenges are in India, where legal backlog can delay any dispute resolution. So importance of clear agreements to minimize dispute falls under whether or not your country can enforce contracts or not. So let's look at some regulatory environments across countries. The difference in regulatory environments, i.g., environmental regulations and tax laws. The impact of these differences on business operations. Example is strict and GDPR data protection laws in Europe versus other places or U.S. regulations. Right? Political aspect introduction. So political stability and government policies impact business operation. Again, I hate to keep bringing up Venezuela, but that is a prime example where political instability, right, and the changing government policies or coups really slowed down or tore up that country to where it kind of makes it not stable. You see how they took over a lot of oil rights that maybe ExxonMobil and other large oil producing companies believed that they held until a different government took over, right? Factors: corruption, political risk, and policy consistency. Understanding the political landscape is crucial for investment decisions, especially for overseas. Political stability. Stable environments like Switzerland encourages foreign investments. Unstable environments, Venezuela, political unrest deters investments. Impact: stability affects business confidence and growth prospects. Wow, here's a large one. Government policies and regulation. Pro-business policies, Singapore. right? Business-friendly regulations attract investors. In fact, I'm looking to go to Singapore myself to take advantage of the pro-business policies that they offer. Heavy regulations, Brazil. The complex regulatory environments can hinder business. Friends of mine was looking to invest in some, I believe, agriculture projects in Brazil, and it is involved with who have ownership rights, how long would you own the land, can the land be legally yours if you're a foreigner? So yes, I can see the difference between Singapore and Brazil in this slide, right? The impact, policy, environment shape business strategies and market entry. Now, political risk and corruption. Assessing political risk in different countries, Venezuela versus Switzerland, corruption and its impact on business operation, bribery risk, and benefits of investing in political, stable, and low corruption environments. There is a benefit in if you can in very stable, politically stable, and low corruption environments, that would be more conducive to overseas business. This is the conclusion. Cultural environment, legal environment, political stability, right? And compared to high risk environments, right? And strategic adaptability. These areas, any business that's thinking about going overseas, opening up a business, they must consider those those edits, whether the cultural environment is conducive to that, whether the legal environment and political environment is strong in that area, or is there polit, political unstable areas, and high risk environments. That will stop any business from growing or expanding or with the capabilities if they have to pay bribes, if every time administration changes, the policy changes. Okay, so that's my conclusion for this PowerPoint. Here are the references right here. I relied heavily on Hosted, right? World Bank, Transparency International, and country-specific government websites and legal resources.